So you can put in your
Well, hello and welcome to another edition of Health Solutions with Shawn and Janet Needham, where Team Needham discusses everything healthcare. I'm your host, Shawn Needham, along with my wonderful wife, Janet, and we are going to be talking just ourselves about healthy eating for the holidays. Janet.
So usually for myself, we try really hard to not go back for seconds. So we put out our food in a different room and we sit down in our dining room. And that does help because if you're enjoying each other's company and having a conversation, then you're going to eat less food. If you're doing it slower, making sure that you're hydrated, that also is going to help you with keeping your calories down. I know that most Americans do gain weight during the holiday season, but you can keep that to a minimum if you just keep some things in mind. For example, eat your protein first. I'm a big believer for women, especially, that we don't always eat the protein that we need to have in our diet. And I, for one, am somebody that am tracking my protein just to make sure I get the right amounts. So eat your protein first. Most of us enjoy turkey or ham or whatever that might look like, but start with that first before you eat all the other carbs. And just remember that this comes once a year, right? Our holiday season comes once a year. So don't beat yourself up. I think the worst thing that we can do is get all upset with ourselves and then just, it's all over, right? Just keep yourself in check. And, so for me, it's keeping the food in another room and sitting down at a table, eating my protein first and making sure I'm hydrated.
And I think one thing is don't forget that, enjoy, be grateful. That's what it's all about. We are supposed to be grateful for food. I think as Americans, we forget about that because most of us are overfed and have basically an unlimited food source. So remember that, have an attitude of gratitude. That's what we're supposed to be celebrating during Thanksgiving with family. Now, I will say this too. If you have leftovers, send them home with your kids and then you won't eat them.
Somebody else. Yes.
That's what we do. I will say this too. Try a little bit of everything. Janet does an amazing amount of work during Thanksgiving, and we have turkey, we have mashed potatoes, we have the sweet potato casserole, we have cranberry sauce, we have rolls, and we have that bean casserole she makes, and I eat a little bit of all of it, and I don't feel a bit guilty about it. I will say this too: move, go for a walk afterwards. Do some kind of activity afterwards, and that just helps get your metabolism moving and burning some calories. So Zoe, it looks like we have a comment. Let's see what that comment is. Hey Brian, go ahead and stream it. Brian, been doing great. I hope you're doing well too, buddy. So, and Janet's right. Eat the turkey first. If you're having turkey, I think turkey or ham or whatever, eat the protein first, and then you won't eat as much other stuff. Protein is very satiating, so it makes you feel full faster than if you're eating the sweet potato pie. I could literally probably eat the whole casserole dish of the sweet potato pie. But if I eat the turkey first, then I won't eat as much. So,
yeah, I think keeping moving helps too. And we make it a tradition at our house to start watching our Christmas and getting our Christmas all together. So, don't make the holiday just about the food. I think the food is like the icing on the cake, right? Make it more about the time that you're spending and enjoying each other, whether you're with family or friends. And I think that helps a lot too, because then we're not putting all the thought process on just the food. And again, with our leftovers, we do send them home. We have two men for boys. And
Big
so
man. Mhm.
they help us with that. And then too, I have quit buying really big turkeys. We kind of keep our sizes and our proportions as to how much we make down. I also don't do a lot of baking. So, I grew up in a house where, man, my mother could make the most amazing things, and we just don't have as much extras. So eat real food, and I think just keep busy with your family and friends. And like Shawn said, keep moving, go for a walk. Make it more about being with your friends and family than just what you're ingesting. And then again, don't beat yourself up. Enjoy. I think we should enjoy
Mhm.
food. We were meant to enjoy it
Absolutely.
and be mindful of it. But when you're feeling that full feeling, stop. I mean, that's one thing that I think most of us need to implement. When you get to that point where you've had enough, stop.
And don't be afraid to eat the cranberry sauce. Don't be afraid to eat the muffin or dinner roll. I wouldn't recommend doing that if you're a diabetic, but don't be afraid. And then you just have to be better the next few days. And it's you need to be mindful about eating. So whatever you eat for calories today, it's not about just today. It's about overall, an overall week or whatever. So if you eat more for Thanksgiving, you're going to have to eat less the next day. Zoe, looks like we have another comment. Oh, bashful camera can't see you. I don't know, Wayne. I can see myself. So check our Instagram,
Yeah.
Zoe.
Maybe it's not.
And that's the problem. So go back, see if you can get back on the show vertical. Yeah, show vertical and see, because that's how Instagram is streaming. So we're gonna have to check that out
Thanks for letting us
later.
know.
Yeah, thanks for letting us know, Wayne. Um, StreamYard just updated their streams where you can go vertical or horizontal, and we are filming in horizontal, but Instagram streams in vertical, it looks like now. So we're gonna have to figure that out. Oh yeah, where were we, Janet? Oh yeah, here's another thing I want to say too, and this might upset some people. Don't don't make Thanksgiving about football. Please don't. Um, your family time is much more important than watching a 4-hour football game. Maybe you can talk about it, or maybe you can watch a little bit of it, but don't spend the entire day watching football. I know that's a tradition. Make it a new tradition. You know what our tradition is in our house? We exercise every Thanksgiving. We make sure that we get up and we do a workout before we start cooking and before we start preparing things. Make that the tradition. I think we have created such a negative connotation when it comes to working out, and that we need days off and recovery, and we do. There's no doubt about it. Jen, I talk about that all the time. um, but Thanksgiving shouldn't be a day to just sit around and do nothing. Neither should Christmas Day. There's no reason we can't do movements on those days. When you think about what our ancestors did, Janet, did your dad milk cows on Thanksgiving Day?
There's never a day you don't milk your cow. If
Right,
you if you
right.
don't, you're in trouble, or
Did,
they're in
did did he
trouble.
water the cows and feed the
Oh,
horses?
they
And
always were taken care of every morning and
exactly,
every evening, and
exactly.
yeah. So
So make a new tradition of Thanksgiving, not sitting around doing nothing and just eating and watching football like most Americans. And as you know, that's not working for most Americans, because most Americans are obese. So make a new tradition to do a workout on Thanksgiving, and celebrate that. We should actually celebrate working out. We should look forward to it. We should say, I get to work out today. I get to ride my bike, or I get to run, or I get to lift weights today. We shouldn't say, "Oh, I gotta go to the gym today." We should we should embrace it. We should celebrate it. Janet.
well, to give tips about this, it's not that our family doesn't follow football. My youngest son does. My oldest son does not. But check in. You don't have to see every play. If there is one game that's really important for you, that's fine. Watch part of it. But you know, it seems like, and we Sean and I don't really watch that much football, but we do watch some movies that start, our tradition. But we keep it to a minimum. We don't like binge it. That's a real easy thing to do. I mean, I remember when Netflix came out, binging Breaking Bad was our first one that we were like, oh my gosh, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. We need to get to bed, right? So just keep it in check. And I think that kind of brings balance to our lives. And then, one of the things I think that so many women do is, especially if you're the cook for the event, is that, it gets really stressful. And I know I've stressed out over holiday meals, and just have everybody else help you and try to keep your stress level down. That's going to help you tremendously as far as, how you feel about your meal and your family and your friends, because they didn't come over to see you being upset about working hard. And I know I'm a type A, so I kind of get the whole thing, but just stepping back and realizing, take your time, enjoy the day, don't make it a big stressful event.
And I will tell you, if you want to know a quick way to cook a turkey, it's deep fry it. And it's really, really hard to screw up deep frying a turkey. It usually is, unless you can overcook it, and it will start to dry out, but it's harder to overcook. Just, make sure you don't get temperature too hot, and, follow the timing. One of the things about deep frying a turkey too is they have to fit in the deep fryer. That's another reason we buy a smaller turkey. Don't we shoot for a 13-pound turkey, I
No
think?
more than that.
No more than a 13-pound. I think that's all that fits in a deep fryer. And usually what that does, because I gotta tell you, I do love turkey sandwiches, but I don't like them for a week. I like them for maybe 1 or 2 meals. So if we don't have enough leftovers for turkey sandwiches, I am a little upset. Um, but yeah, enjoy the food, enjoy the holidays, enjoy time with family and chatting with family. These are They're times that you'll never get back.
Right. And I also think, I'm seeing a lot of people posting about the holiday season being 8 to 10 pounds that Americans will start um putting on. Well, if like I know, I love cookies, so I don't make them. I don't bring them home. If someone gives them to me, I give them away. Just limit the things that test you. We're all different. Each person has the thing that triggers them or they really enjoy. I'm not saying that I can't have one, but it just makes it easier for me not to tempt myself and to bring it in. And so I don't bake, and I don't, I eliminate it. And I think that that helps a lot. And that includes going into, the rest of the holiday season. And the other thing too that I think is really important is, limit your alcohol intake, because that is very high calories, easy to underestimate. So you're drinking your calories, and that to me is something that, I'm not the person that says don't do it, don't do that, unless of course you're an alcoholic or you have an addiction to certain things. I personally think if you're going to have a glass or two, limit yourself to that enjoyment, but don't drink all your calories. I know that keeps it in check for people. Um, there's nothing wrong, I think, with that part of the holiday, but if you're overindulging, that's going to add up really fast, and that could include the whole, time from Thanksgiving to the first of the year. And then we do this crazy thing of, I'm going to lose 50 pounds.
Right.
And it just makes it really difficult. So I think just having the goal to have enjoyment, but keep it in check.
And I will say about the alcohol, it's not just about the calories in the alcohol and drinking the calories in the alcohol. It's about that after you have a few drinks, you start making horrible food decisions after that. Um, you know, eh, you can be on track and doing really well and eating really well, and then all of a sudden you have a few drinks, and then it just it tips your brain off that you're hungry, and you don't have the willpower to say no anymore. So that's part of the problem with drinking alcohol too. Um, I do want to say that on the movement issue, so make it a family affair. Um, you know, just go around the block for, we have a little 1.25 mile uh, loop around our house. It's perfect for that. And the weather's not great here this time of year. I mean, I guess that's all relative, right? Um, but you can talk and walk at the same time. And a mile and a quarter is about 3,500 steps. So if you're trying to shoot for 10,000 steps, you've already got 1/3 of them in, just by doing that little walk.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that that's very appropriate, especially on a day where you want to be with people. We've done we've when our kids were younger, we had them playing outside in the backyard, of course, and that entertained them. So versus the inside being on their phones, being on the TV. I mean, I think that the phone scrolling is always something that does happen, but at the same time, we could limit that and that would help improve. And then it's not mindless. And we've talked about this before that, good eating habits mean you sit down and you eat, you don't walk around and eat. You're mindful of the food that you are consuming. So don't be just scrolling on your phone and eating. I think eating together with other people and having conversation slows the process of how fast we eat. Just be mindful of how fast you're eating. Don't just inhale, enjoy the meal. That way, you're just not putting extra calories in without knowing. That's kind of the thing too. That when we're talking about watching sports, is a lot of times people are eating and drinking while they're doing that, and they're not realizing what they are actually ingesting.
And not only is it make you mindlessly eat when you're scrolling social media, but you know it's rude to be on social media scrolling your phone while you know other people are around and you should be talking. So um you know there's we haven't done this in a while, but we used to have a contest. This is years ago when kind of cell phones started interrupting people's daily lives and dinners, and there was a rule that the first person to check their phone has to buy dinner. So I think there's so many people that would lose that that contest now. But yeah, make it fun. And seriously, there's probably if it's that important, they will probably call you. You probably don't need to be answering texts and definitely, scrolling social media. That's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I reach out to my family, but it's not like you have to spend a lot of time, and especially during your meal. I think that to me is the part that brings into unknowingly doing things. It's kind of like when you're driving down the road and you're eating from the drive-through, you're not counting what you're really, ingesting. And so Shawn and I don't usually pack snacks in our car just because you
You'll
just
just eat them
don't pay
all. I mean,
attention.
it's
Yeah.
yeah, you could there's more food there and you're driving. It's distracted eating. No different than watching TV and eating. It's just a bad habit to get into. So, like Janet says, sit down at the table, then have a rule that nobody can use their phones while you're sitting at the dinner table. So we have another comment. Oh, well, thank you, Wayne, for letting us know that. We appreciate that. StreamYard, the platform we use to stream on multiple um, social media platforms, they just changed. They're constantly updating stuff, which is really cool. But they just changed their way that you can do horizontal and vertical. And Instagram, because Instagram is usually streamed from a phone, is vertical. But we were able to stream horizontal. We got to figure to Instagram before, so we got to figure that out. But we will. I've got a great team that works for us that will figure all that stuff out. Um,
So I just wanted to address, we just got back from a conference. We went to Hack Your Health. And basically it was a conference about just healthy lifestyle and living. Of course, many of the participants and speakers are talking more about eating meat and red meat and making protein a goal for achieving health. That does include fat. We've had that pyramid system that went out. I don't know when they started that one, maybe when I was in elementary school, where all we were supposed to really basically be eating is grains. And my takeaway from this conference, with so many people sharing their achievements of health or on the health journey, is that you know, incorporating more protein into the American diet is going to help us with overall all all levels of morbidity, because if you're eating more protein, your bones and muscles are going to be stronger. We've seen so many people that have turned around their mental health, their cardiovascular disease, their diabetes, their memory, so many different things that it's a positive for. So we're super excited. We're hoping in 2006 that
26.
2026, the documentary of I'm losing my
Healing Humanity.
Healing Humanity will be out, which I'm super excited for. We've went to several little events with them, and there's so many people across the nation, and this included at Hack Your Health, where just everyday citizens are making differences in their life by their diet, and that has helped them to be more active and feeling better. So check out Hack Your Health. They have another conference coming up in a year from now. This year it was in Tampa. I think it's going to be there again. It was amazing. Beautiful city to have a conference in, beautiful facilities. But I think the part about it that was really impactful for me is how many people were telling and sharing their story about how they turned their health around. Some people were really, really sick, some people not so much. But the exciting thing is they did it with their activity, which is not as expensive as paying for all the pharmaceuticals and all the trips to the doctor. They put themselves in charge of changing their trajectory. So they're not just going to exist, they are going to thrive. And I think that that is so important. It's really sad to see people that are just not able to be a part of the world around them. So check that out, folks. I think next year, 2026, Tampa, Hack Your Health, around this time of year.
So while we're on that subject, a lot of the things that Janet's talking about, the diseases, the diabetes, I don't know, what other diseases did you mention? Cardiovascular disease, so hypertension, dementia. As pharmacists, we learned that drugs were the answer for these diseases. Well, now we know that they're not. Usually these diseases are caused by our lifestyle. So you can change them by changing your lifestyle. You can reverse the diseases by changing your lifestyle. I'm actually writing a book about this. It's called Lies. Zoe, will you go ahead and stream the QR code? There's a QR code popping up in the left. It's my left. I think it might be your left too. I don't know. Upper left corner of the screen. Scan that QR code, and you can opt into updates of my book. It's called Lies I Learned in Pharmacy School and How to Escape the Grasp of Big Pharma. The answer for your health, people, is not drugs. It's like we preach all the time on this podcast. It's sleep, diet, and exercise. Those are the things that can make you sick if you don't follow them right, but they're also the things that can heal you. You want to go ahead and stream the cover of the book too, Zoe, please. And I also want to say this. There's the cover of the book, Lies I Learned in Pharmacy School and How to Escape the Grasp of Big Pharma. So I'm looking at a release date of December 2026. So scan that QR code so you can opt in for updates. So one thing I do want to mention is that today is my birthday. How does this work? I'm 55 today, so does that mean I've been on Earth for 55 years, or is this the start of my 51st year? This will be the start of my 55th year. And I will say this, things just get better as you get older. If you take care of yourself, take care of your health, things can just get better. I am still progressing when it comes to mountain bike racing. I am still progressing when it comes to barefoot water skiing. When we were in Tampa, there's Winter Haven, Florida, World Barefoot Center. They train people from all over the world from beginners to experts in barefoot water skiing, and I just learned how to get up backwards. So 55 years old, still progressing that sport. I do realize that it's going to catch up with me eventually. I know I'm more cautious now when it comes to riding my mountain bike than I was 10 years ago. But I'm still as fast, even a little bit faster. I set a PR this year at Whiskey Off Road, faster than I've ever went. I'm hoping to do that again next year. My coach says that I should be able to do that for the next couple of years. But you have to eat right, sleep right, move right, and I'm trying to focus on that. And so, don't we should embrace getting older, and as long as we stay healthy, and as long as we make smart decisions, it should be the best times of your life. I know this is the best times of my life. We're more financially secure than we ever have been. We've got two healthy men that we raised. They're independent and out of our house, so we're empty nesters. Our health is the best it's ever been. We've got no reason to think that's ever going to change. Eventually, it does catch up with you, but I'm looking, to be 80 until it catches up with me. Um, so embrace these times. Don't think you're going to suffer when you get older, and you don't have to. And if you go to a healthcare practitioner, whether it be a doctor or whatever healthcare practitioner, and they say something is just part of getting older, don't buy that. I mean, we hear those things all the time. Don't buy that. If you sleep right, move right, eat right, you do not you can age very, very gracefully. And it's important to be strong and fast. So lean body mass and VO2 max are two of the best predictors of health around, better than any lab blood tests you could ever take. Um, because if you have good lean body mass, it probably means you're strong, and it probably means you do some kind of heavy lifting, resistance training. And then if you have a good VO2 max, it probably means you have a good cardiovascular output, or it does mean you have a good cardiovascular output. So that means you have good, strong heart and lungs. So you've got strong skeletal muscle, strong heart and lungs. Those are the two best predictors of overall health. So it's important. Cardio, as much as people stress resistance training, which I think is very important, do not forget the cardio. Without without good, strong heart and lungs, we couldn't walk up a flight of stairs. Janet, you want to talk about that?
Right. And I think too, one of the things that people think is that it takes a lot of time. Well, it depends. But to be healthy in movement does not mean that you have to spend hours and hours at the gym. Other than Sean cycling and our cycling training, most of our resistance training and lifting is 20, 25 minutes. I mean, it's not a lot of time in the gym, and it's usually 3 times a week. So, we all have that much time, right? We spend that much time on social media, right? So
In a day.
in a day. So it's priorities, and I think too, one of the things that I have found over the years as we've traveled and been involved in different events is that there are so many people that I see doing um, sports and keeping moving that it's so fun to be a part of because they're in their 80s, they're in their 70s, they're in their 60s, they're enjoying life and they're having fun. And I think that's part of the journey that I really enjoy is meeting people that are out there that are not just existing, they are thriving. They are fun to be with. They've got goals. And that to me is living. Getting out and moving helps you keep vibrant. It keeps your connections socially with other people, which is super important for all of our health. I mean, that's why we are gathering for Thanksgiving, right? We're trying to be a community of whether it's your family or friends and getting together and enjoy one another. So keeping busy in activities that are physical helps you maintain those connections and enjoyment in life. And I think that is huge. I think the mental part is very beneficial. Movement around other people keeps you connected to the world that you're in.
Absolutely. And that about wraps up our podcast for today. Tune in Thursday to our midweek podcast, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Um, I just want to thank you all for tuning in and listening. If somebody needs to hear this, please share it with them. We stream live on Facebook. We stream live on LinkedIn, YouTube, X, Instagram, and Rumble. And so please share this with who needs to hear it. And we thank you all for tuning in. Our goal of this podcast is to educate and empower individuals to take charge of their own health. We hope we helped you realize that goal today. Thank you so much.